Hello gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Solospelunking. And today I want to talk a little bit about the problems that solo heroes have when they have to face party-sized challenges and possible solutions to that problem. So those of you who have followed my channel and those of you who are maybe also solo role players, you might have come across this problem that you want to play a solo hero, but all the adventures that you have that you might want to play, or encounters that would be realistic in the context of the current situation, are actually, if you go by rules as written, too much to handle for a solo hero. And you need some workarounds so that your solo hero will be able to face a party-sized challenge, but without being overpowered. And so in this video today, I will talk about different methods and products and supplements that are out there that apply certain techniques to make a solo hero strong enough to face the challenges of a party, or to face challenges that are designed for a party. So first, I will talk about the problems of a solo hero. Then I will talk about possible solutions. Then I will go a little bit into buffing your hero. And then I will give you some generic guidelines for buffing a solo hero so that he is able, or she, or they, or whatever, are able to face party-sized challenges. All right, so when I play solo, I usually like to play only one main character or one player character. In my current Star Wars series, I'm playing 2 characters. And I have played, when I did my playtest or my playthrough for Explorers of the Untamed Wilds, I have indeed played a little party, but only with one main player character, and the other ones were basically simplified characters, sidekicks. And the reason I do that is that I do not like the bookkeeping of handling more than one full-size player character, at least not in a somewhat complex or detailed system. I think in Shadow Dark you could probably get away with it. And but in general, my play style is that I usually only play one character. And this is also what I suggest when you're just starting out playing solo. So if you're playing only one character, that character, he or she or they will run into some problems sooner or later, especially when it comes to combat. So these problems are basically, or they come down basically to the action economy, first of all. So usually, if you're a solo hero and you're facing multiple opponents, the action economy is not in your favor, because usually you get one turn with one action, and if you're facing 3 or 4 opponents, you're already at a severe disadvantage just when it comes to action economy. The other thing that might be problematic for a solo hero is the fact that there's no damage mitigation. Basically, if you're facing 3 opponents, they will probably all attack you or bash into you. There's no one else there to take a little bit of heat, to take one for the team, as you could say. So you will also be the target of all the attacks. Then a problem that you will also have probably is the problem of not enough damage output. And this basically ties in with the action economy. If you only have one turn worth of actions, you also only have one turn worth of attacks, and you will not deal damage fast enough to reduce the enemy numbers before they, because of the missing damage mitigation, probably kill you. So this actually can all be pretty serious in a combat, in a fight. And last but not least, you will probably lack some skills, because if you have a party with different characters and they all have varied skills or skills in different areas of expertise, you got a well-rounded party for a lot of situations, and this is probably not the case when you play solo. So these, of course, are the problems that a solo hero faces. And of course, this is nothing new or game breaking. As a matter of fact, these problems I got from the products that I will also introduce to you during this video, where exactly these problems are listed, and also ways are provided or solutions are provided to deal with these problems. All right, so to summarize, action economy not in your favor, no damage mitigation, not enough damage output, and lacking skills. These are the main problems that a solo hero will face during his or her or their adventures. So, what could be possible solutions to these problems? Well, obviously, the first and obvious solution, and probably the solution that mimics rules as written as close as it gets, is, of course, to just play a party. So if you're fine with handling a lot of characters, maybe you even like this aspect of managing a party, and you don't mind the extra bookkeeping, or the system that you use for your solo adventures supports handling a party, because it is not maybe as complex and there is not a lot of bookkeeping, then by all means you could, of course, play a party. And in my current Star Wars series, where I play 2 characters, I actually enjoy the interaction between those 2 characters, the dialogues, even though I'm interacting with myself, which is kind of strange, really, if you think about it. But I do enjoy this banter between characters. So that is also, if you play a party, a good way maybe to introduce some personality, some more personality into these characters, and to simulate more of a group play experience. So that would be a solution. Second solution, which attempts to basically strike a balance between playing a game rules as written but lessening complexity, is of course the option to add sidekicks to complement your character. Hirelings, followers, sidekicks, whatever you want to call them. So basically, what are sidekicks? Well, they're basically very simplified characters under the player's control, with less abilities, less stats, and less special features than a full or regular sized player hero, but they provide a benefit when it comes to action economy. They give the enemy a target to attack, so they will soak up some damage. and they might add some skills that you need to your party, depending on what the sidekick is. So basically, for a very simple sidekick, you would only need its combat stats, so hit points, armor class, attack and damage values, and then maybe you give him one skill, and that might be all you need, depending on what kind of system you're playing, to make your solo hero strong enough, or to give your solo hero the edge they need to overcome party challenges. And the third and final solution that I will talk about in this video, and this is also what will be the main topic of this video going forward, is of course the ability then to buff your hero. So what this means basically is that you make your solo hero stronger so that they are almost as strong, maybe as a party, so that you can focus on playing only one hero, but you don't need to adjust too much of the adventure maybe that you're playing, if you're playing a published adventure. So this buffing your single hero, or in my case right now where I play two heroes, buffing both of them, is my favorite method of dealing with party challenges when I'm playing solo, when I'm playing a solo hero. And I want to showcase 3 products in this video. 2 of them are free, and one of them, I don't know, it's just a few bucks, but it's well worth the price. The other 2, like I said, are free, and they introduce some general principles that I will talk about. So what are these products that I am going to suggest? So the first one, I didn't print this out, so I will show you on my tablet, is this product here. It is called Solo Heroes, or Blackstream Solo Heroes. The subtitle is Lone Adventurers Against the World. It is a Labyrinth Lord compatible product, but you can easily use it or plug it into basically any old school role-playing system, which is like basic D&D like, and it doesn't even have to be fantasy. So in this product here, of course, first the author, which is Kevin Crawford, who also did Scarlet Heroes, which is very solo friendly and includes solo rules, talks about these things that I also just mentioned. And of course, as a matter of fact, this is where I got this from. So credit where credit is due. So he talks about hit points depleting too quickly, lacking the wide range of skills and abilities, and enemies don't die quickly enough. So these are the things basically that come down to damage mitigation, action economy, damage output, all these things. And then he goes on to provide solutions to these problems. And so check out this product, and I will go into these solutions or I will summarize them. So basically in this product, the idea is that the damage output is greatly increased and the receiving damage is greatly reduced. And this is accomplished by the hero having hit points as usual, but damage against opponents is dealt in full hit dice. and the damage dice, outgoing and incoming, are read differently. So in this system, it works like this, that a roll of 1 on the damage die deals 0 damage. A roll of 2 to 5 deals 1 point of damage. 6 to 9 deals 2 points of damage, and 10 or above deals 4 points of damage. So let's say you have a sword that deals 1d8 points of damage, and you also have a strength modifier of +1, and you roll a 6, you would add your +1 for 7, so you would deal damage of 2. So if you are the player hero, that would mean you deal 2 hit dice of damage to the enemy, meaning a 1 or 2 hit die enemy would be killed with this hit. However, if this is incoming damage, you as a player hero would only suffer 2 points of hit point damage. So this is one of the principles Solo Hero uses to decrease incoming damage and at the same time accelerate the time by which enemies die by highly increasing damage output. And also what it does, it allows a damage overflow in cases where your attack roll is high enough to also hit the other enemy. So, for example, you are facing 2 orcs. You are a single hero and you are facing 2 orcs. They have identical combat stats, same armor class, and they're 1-hit die monsters. So you attack orc number 1 and you deal 2 points of damage, which is 2 hit dice of damage. So the first orc dies, and then you would have 1 hit die of damage left. And since both orcs have the same combat stats, so you would have hit them both, and they're within reach of your weapon, the other orc would also suffer 1 die of damage, 1 hit die of damage, and would die. So with 1 good hit, with 1 swift stroke, as Tarkin would have said, the hero could kill these 2 orcs. So that is also, or this is already a great buff. But then, to mitigate this problem of action economy further, Solo Heroes also introduces a mechanic called the Fray die. The Fray die is a die that only hero characters have, solo hero characters, and they can roll it once during their turn, and it is basically a damage die that represents all those minor slashes and minor attacks that a hero makes, but that only affect weak characters. And the way this works is you have a Fray die, which is determined by your class. Usually wizards have a d4, normal characters a d6, and warriors, fighters a d8. And you can use this hit die once during your turn. You roll it, and the result is just damage that you deal in addition to your normal attack. And you can also use this hit die if you don't use your main action, this Fray die, if you don't use your main action to attack. So you could basically with 1 attack and your Fray die mow down like 3 or 4 low hit die, low level enemies. The limitation regarding the Fray die is that you can only use it against enemies that have hit dice equal to your level or lower. So if you're a level 1 character, your Fray die would only be able to affect one hit die monsters. If you are a level 3 character, your Frey die would affect level 3 hit die, 3 hit die, 2 hit die, or 1 hit die monsters. So this is how the Frey die works. And this is basically, or these are the main principles of this Solo Heroes supplement. So it introduces a Frey die, which mitigates missing action or disfavored action economy somewhat by giving the hero a way to get rid of low level or minor enemies, and also increasing the damage output of the main attack significantly by having the damage die being read in hit dice, and at the same time, when it is incoming damage, it is treated as hit point damage. And I will use part of this, and this is already what I mentioned in my video, in my current Stardark Adventures in the Keldor Sector series. But the only thing I will be using is the decreased incoming damage. So when Raya or Nesh, when they are dealt damage, I will convert the damage dealt to them according to this chart. And I put this chart here on top of my character sheet to easily reference it. So 1 is 0, 2 to 5, 1. And but only incoming damage. Everything else, there will be no Frey die. Enemies still have hit points instead of hit dice. And outgoing damage will also be dealt in hit points. So, and there will also be no damage overflow. Just to increase my survivability a bit, I will use this incoming damage conversion in my current Stardark series. And I got this from Solo Heroes. And the second product that I want to talk about, but I can keep this brief, is by the same author, Kevin Crawford. And this is called wait a minute, Mandate Archives Stellar Heroes. And this is basically the same thing for sci-fi characters. Well, I can't find it right now on my tablet, but that's all right, because it is basically the same as Solo Heroes, just in a sci-fi scenario. It was designed for worlds without numbers, but nonetheless, there's a part in there regarding skills and skill progression, because World of Numbers has skills. But the main principles regarding dealing damage and receiving damage are the same. So that is another product that you can check out, and I will link these products in this video's description. And now the other product, and this is the one that is not free, but I think it's worth every penny, is a product made for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and this is called Legendary Characters, or to be more precise, Solo Adventurer's Guide, Legendary Characters. And it says it is a practical guide to playing legendary D&D adventures with just one character. And this is by Guilherme Bento. I hope I pronounced this right. And I've already used this supplement on this channel in my 5th edition solo videos. I used this when I was doing my Slums of Flan 5th edition board game video, and also when I did my Flan role-playing adventure where I had to defeat the cult of Gorgamash. If you check out this series, you will see this supplement in action. And I can highly recommend the supplement, and you can get it from the M's Guild. It's one of my favorite things to use, and it basically tackles the same problems with action economy, damage mitigation, etc., but it does it a little bit differently, but also employing rules that are already in 5th edition. So what does this supplement do? Well, it also gives your hero more actions, but the way it does it, I think, is pretty neat because it scales. Because what it does is basically it transfers or transforms your hero into a legendary character, which means your hero, just as monsters that are designed to fight a party, does have a complement of so-called legendary actions. So your hero gets 3 legendary actions per turn, and as legendary actions work in rules as written, you can only take them outside of your turn at the end of another creature's turn. And you have 3 per round basically, and they refresh when your next turn starts. So what this does is that it scales in a way that if you're only fighting one opponent, you will still be at an advantage because you will get your turn, and then the opponent gets his turn, and then at the end of the opponent's turn, you can take 1 legendary action. But you only can take 1 legendary action at the end of a creature's turn only. So that means that even though you have 3 legendary actions available, you would be able to only use 1 when facing a single opponent. However, if you're facing 3 opponents, you could take 1 legendary action at the end of each of your opponent's turn. And if you will be facing 5 opponents, then again, you could use up your 3 legendary actions. But then again, we would have the situation where when the 4th opponent acts, you would be out of legendary actions. So it scales. It scales with the amount of enemies. If you're facing more than 2 or 3 enemies, you can use all your 3 legendary actions. If you're facing less, you can use less. And this is the method this supplement uses to relieve this problem of the action economy. And I think this is a really great and really neat and really clever solution because of its scalability. And the problem of dealing not enough damage is also mitigated using this system because, as you probably would have guessed, you can use your legendary actions also to make an attack. So you can use them to make an attack, you can use them to move, you can use them to cast a cantrip, or you can use them to cast a spell. However, that would cost 2 of your legendary actions. And so you would deal also more damage. So if you're a single hero fighting a single creature, you would have your regular turn with the possibility to deal damage. And then after the creature's turn, before your new regular turn starts, you could also attack with a legendary action attack. There are some restrictions, so legendary action attacks, for example, can't make use of the extra attack special ability because these are things that only work on your turn, and you take these legendary actions outside of your turn. So actually it is not a complicated system. It is pretty simple and elegant, and it works great in practice. I've tried it in my games, and for 5th edition it's a real game changer. So the only thing we have left is that you need more health, and Legendary Heroes does this by just simply increasing your hit points by 4. So if you are a legendary character, you just roll your starting hit points and you multiply this by 4, and whenever you gain hit points, you multiply by 4. So basically, you just track your normal hit points as if you would for a solo hero, but you just multiply them by 4. So this has the added charm, if you want to call it that you do not need to convert any damage, but the numbers are just higher. But in practice, it doesn't really matter if you just, let's say, divide incoming damage by 4 and round up, or if you just multiply your HP by 4. The main principle is that you have enough staying power to face challenges that are made for a party of heroes without having the extra hassle of keeping track of a lot of heroes. So these are the products I want to talk about. So to summarize, check out Black Stream's Solo Heroes, Mandate Archive's Stellar Heroes, and the Solo Adventurer's Guide, Legendary Characters. And I will link all these products in this video's description. So finally, we come to more generic or general buffs or advice. So all I have said so far and all the products I've shown you, they basically apply general principles. They give you more actions, they give you more health, and they help you to deal more damage. And you could basically combine more actions and more damage, because usually in combat, if you have more actions, this automatically means that you deal more damage. So basically, with these principles, you could turn a solo character from any role-playing game into a hero strong enough to face the challenges of a party. And you can do most of the work, like 80%, like this 80-20 rule, 80% of the work you get done with only 20% input. So as a general generic buff that works for every system, you could just multiply your hero's hit points if the system uses hit points by the amount of other characters basically you want to simulate. So if you want to make your hero as strong as 2 heroes, multiply his hit points by 2. If you want to make him as strong as 3 heroes, by 3, 4 heroes, 4. I wouldn't go further because most systems are balanced for a party of around 3 to 5 characters. So 4 is basically the sweet spot. If your system does not use hit points, you could just divide incoming damage. Just make a quick chart on a little index card, put it next to your play area, and whenever you receive damage, you just reduce it by a certain factor. Again, if you want to simulate a party of 2, just half the damage, divide by 3, divide by 4. If your system uses some sort of different kind of wound resistance system, well, maybe then you need to find some other ways to tweak this. But for systems that in general use some sort of measure like hit points, you can just multiply hit points or divide incoming damage. And the second thing also is just pretty simple. Just give your character more actions or give him more turns. So, and this is indeed a difference. So if you just want to add actions, you could just bolt on this legendary action principle to every system that uses some sort of action economy, which is D&D like, with like I go, you go. And you can just say, all right, at the end of a creature's or opponent's turn, my player hero can just take an action. You could give him more than one action during his own turn, but that might be a little bit overpowered, because it doesn't scale as well as these legendary actions do. Or you can simply give your hero more turns. So let's say just, all right, so you want to simulate a party of 3. So you would just multiply your hit points by 3 and you will just give your heroes 3 turns. And what I would do in this case, I would give the hero his regular normal turn in the initiative order. Then I would have the enemies go, and then after the enemies, the hero would get his additional turns, so that he is not basically waltzing over the opponents by taking 3 turns in a row. And I also want to avoid this extra bookkeeping of making more than one initiative roll. So I would just do the normal combat order by initiative roll if your system uses something like that. And then at the end, I would just give my hero his additional turns. And then the next round would start with the normal initiative order. Yeah, these are basically the principles I would suggest or recommend if you want to play party-sized adventures with a solo hero without doing too much of a conversion. And yeah, like I said, this is nothing new and nothing I've come up with. I just wanted to make a video on the products that are out there and on these general principles, because I frequently use them in my games. I have done so in the past, and I will do so in the future. And I will use this damage conversion rule in my ongoing Stardark series. So if you see this in my video, now you know where it comes from and what this is all about. So basically, this is like a general explanatory video. Yeah, so I just wanted to get this quick video out there, and I'm also looking forward to my next gameplay video, which will also be up soon. Yeah, so that is it for today. And yeah, I hope you got something out of this video. Maybe you already employ these principles. Maybe you have different ideas or suggestions, or maybe you know of other products. Then please let me know in the comments. So yeah, just for completionist's sake, for example, Dragonbane, which also includes solo rules. Also, yeah, buffs your character a little by giving him an additional heroic ability. And the thing that I would also always recommend is this army of 1 ability, which tries to mitigate action economy a little by giving your hero an additional turn, basically. So this fits with the general principles that I've talked about. However, it does not do anything about damage mitigation. So hit points in Dragonbane are low, damage is high, and even though if you have an additional turn, combat as a solo hero can still be a pretty dangerous and a pretty lethal affair. Yeah, so just wanted to get that out. So yeah, that's it for now. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Oh yeah, and please, if you haven't done so, please do subscribe, because I'd like to see this channel grow. And I will see you in the next video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful remaining Saturday. Until next time, bye-bye.